In 1886, the county contracted with Washington W. King, son of freed slave and noted bridge builder Horace King, and Jonathan H. Burke for the construction of this 138-foot bridge. It was adjacent to the mill owned by Daniel Lowry, of which the foundation is still evident via ruins. This is Euharlee Creek Covered Bridge right here in Euharlee. Let's go. What's going on, good people? This is P9 with another vlog, and I'm here in the city of Euharlee, Georgia, located in Bartow County. So I'm gonna take a walk around the small city and get some history, very interesting history, might I add. So let's get into it, shall we? So Euharlee is a city in Bartow County with a population of 4,268 as of the 2020 census. And Euharlee is actually a bedroom community of Cartersville, which is the seat of Bartow County. And through Euharlee Road, they are both connected to each other by a chain of subdivisions and homes. So Cartersville is 9 miles to the east of Euharlee. And here we are in front of the Euharlee Presbyterian Church. It's the front of the church right here. And on the church property, they also have a cemetery. They have a cemetery, which is private property. But let's go to this historical marker of Euharlee Presbyterian Church. And established in 1853, Euharlee Presbyterian Church was long an active congregation that worked to create a community that is known as Euharlee. Started with just 20 members, the church worked to construct the Greek Revival style wooden sanctuary by 1855, and master builders John Clayton and Stephen Glazner were tasked with the job. Clayton and Glazner built many other buildings in southwest Bartow County, including Stylesboro Academy and the nearby community of Stylesboro. And when the sanctuary was first built, there was a balcony located inside for the African American members of the congregation. Many of those members were enslaved, and the balcony was removed later during renovations. So it was also a member of the local community that prioritized education, and they chartered the Euharlee Presbyterian Institute, located within walking distance of the church. So the attendance boomed from the 1850s to the 1930s, and between 1850 and 1900, about 400 new members were received, and the population of Euharlee waned after the Great Depression, as did the size of the congregation. And the church went through an expansion in 1990s and built the adjacent education annex, but unfortunately membership waned and the church closed in 2012. So the property is currently owned by the city of Euharlee. Wow. So they do have a church cemetery, but yeah, their membership went down so much that they have to close the church. This is a historic photo right here in the early 1900s of the Presbyterian Church. And this is the Presbyterian Institute building, opened in 1896. So very historic building right here in the city of Euharlee. Yeah, it's just kind of like, it's a similar concept with schools. Like when the enrollment drops down significantly, the school can actually close down. So declining enrollment definitely contributes to educational institutions and religious institutions closing down. So if I'm not mistaken, right up there, I don't know if you guys can see it, but up that hill is the Euharlee City Hall, which hosts the police department. So City Hall is up that hill right over there. It's a beautiful morning here in Georgia. For it to be late February, it actually feels pretty good. In the mid 60s, temperature wise. And this is actually what's called the Black Pioneer Cemetery. There's 333 marked graves in 2001. So, as you can see right here. And here's the information about the Black Pioneer Cemetery. It's a 1-acre cemetery that lies between the Euharlee Presbyterian and Euharlee Baptist churches. The cemetery was used for the burial of slaves in Euharlee prior to Civil War and for African American residents of the area through the early 1900s. Most of the graves were originally unmarked. By the 1990s, the cemetery was overgrown and virtually forgotten by many in Euharlee. The Euharlee Historical Society, the Etowah Valley Historical Society, and the city of Euharlee undertook the task of clearing the cemetery and identifying graves in the 1990s. And the Etowah Valley Historical Society member Carl Etheridge conducted an investigation to determine the location of graves in the cemetery using dowsing rods and probes. Over 300 graves were found, and of the 333 known burials in the cemetery, only 3 individuals have been identified. Het Powell, a former slave, midwife, and housekeeper, her daughter Ada, and a local man named Jim Scott. Wow, that's crazy. So we're talking over 300 unmarked graves right here in this little area, in this cemetery, Black Pioneer Cemetery. And in August 2002, the Euharlee Historical Society erected a dedicated permanent marker in memory of those buried. In 2007, Eagle Scout John Daniels and his troop placed wooden crosses at each grave. So they have wooden crosses on each of these graves, many of which most of which are unmarked. And here's a map of the cemetery right here. And there goes Carl Etheridge right here, a photograph of him as he investigates the graves that were identified. And these are the map again of the burial plots. And this is an image of Het Powell, who was born in South Carolina and brought to Euharlee as a slave with her husband and 3 of her 4 children. Her son Lee was sold to a different slaveholder, and Het never saw him again. So yeah, that's very sad that during slave times, in many cases, the mothers were separated from their children. Some of them got their children, but some of them were separated. So families were divided, and a lot of times, a lot of the children didn't even know who their parents were, their birth parents were, or anything. That's the negative impact of slavery, obviously. In this building right here, that sun is beaming real heavy, but this is the Euharlee Baptist Church. This is Euharlee's Baptist Church, established in 1852. Very historic building that's over 170 years old. But let's go to the marker to get some more perspective, historical perspective of Euharlee Baptist Church. Historical context, I should say. Originally chartered as Mount Perrin Church in 1852, Euharlee Baptist Church remains an active institution in the Euharlee community today. The wooden church building was built with two front entrances so that men would enter the church through the door on the left and women through the door on the right. Repairs and renovations have been made since, including the additional of several Sunday school rooms in the 1950s. More rooms, a fellowship hall, and a kitchen were added in the 80s, and a larger sanctuary were also added at the time. And many of the church records were lost in a fire, but the earliest headstones in the cemetery date back to the early 1800s. Burials continue in the cemetery today. So similar to the Presbyterian churches, the church here in Euharlee, they have burials in cemetery right outside the Euharlee Baptist Church. And this was the church prior to the addition in the 50s. And they also had an academy in which the Mount Perrin Baptist Church built. And it was the first school in Euharlee near the Baptist Church building. And the new school building was completed in January of 1870. And classes at the new building were scheduled to start on the 1st February. So it was basically a boarding school for many students, and families were charged according to the subjects taken by the student. And the famous Reverend Sam Jones attended the school for a year. But the school unfortunately burned down in the early 1890s, and the Euharlee Presbyterian Institute was built soon after in its place. And classes continued in the homes until the new institution was completed. And this was a photograph of Mount Perrin Academy, date unknown. So it was way back, an undated photographer, or photograph, I should say. Yep, Euharlee Baptist Church, originally Mount Perrin. Still over here on Euharlee Road. This is the Euharlee Lodge, 457. So I go ahead and cross the street over here. They have a steakhouse right there called Hometown Steak and Q. So a barbecue joint. They also have a what's called Euharlee Creek Outfitters. So Euharlee Creek is the major body of water that flows through Euharlee. So they have this outfitter spot where you can rent a kayak, canoe, or a tube for all by outdoor enthusiasts out there. Let's keep it going over here. Go back this way. Yeah, that sun is really beaming. That's a good thing though. Now I believe this building over here was the Mercantile and Lowry Blacksmith Shop. Located to the right of the Euharlee Mercantile, the Lowry Blacksmith Shop was built in the late 1800s by Joe Lowry. It was one of several shops located in Euharlee during the 1800s and into the 1900s. Joe Lowry's son Jim Lowry continued the work of his father until 1950. And blacksmith shops were a necessity for early Euharlee farmers and families living in this agricultural area. So they made, the blacksmiths made iron shoes for the mules and horses, plows, and for field preparation. Broken metal parts, wagon wheels, and buggies were all forged by the blacksmith. So blacksmiths were very important, especially if you had like livestock and things of that nature. So the top left hand corner, you had it's a image of the Euharlee Mercantile, 1850s. Bottom left, Mercantile, 1962, which was operated by the Nelson family at that time. And the Euharlee Mercantile is a landmark in the city of Euharlee. It was originally constructed in the 1860s and has served the community as a dry goods, a post office, and a saloon. One of the 3 general stores in Euharlee during the late 1800s and early 1900s. It was used as a gathering place to discuss politics and news for the day. But the structure was the original structure burned in 1887, and it's not known if the entire building was completely destroyed at the time, but the Mercantile was rebuilt later that year, and the center portion of the current store is believed to be part of the original building. And many of today's Euharlee residents had ancestors who owned and operated the store. A few of these owners were E.G. Nelson, Tom Tumlin, Thomas Taylor, and Will Taylor. The store has also been in almost continuous operation since its reconstruction. So the Mercantile and the store is owned by the city of Euharlee. So this was the store right here, built in 1850. So several historical sites right here in this small city outside of Cartersville. So it's a commissary. It says a commissary building right here. Let's cross over here real quick. This is known as the Militia number 851 District Courthouse. In honor of Cliff A. Nelson, Justice of Peace, 50 years here in Euharlee. Yeah, this is the District Courthouse, dedicated to those who have served on the first modern Euharlee City Commission to recharter the city of Euharlee. And this is a photograph of them in 1975 in the Militia Courthouse. Chief Cliff Nelson, Justice of the Peace; Terry Cantrell, Councilman; Ernest Miller, Councilman; Howard Osborne, Council President; Wally Sweat, City Clerk; and Dolph Nelson Jr., Treasurer. So that was the commission. Shout out to them. They served in this particular courthouse that was maintained and preserved for historical purposes. So this is some information about the militia. Georgia militia districts grew out of the colonial acts in 1733 and 1755. The militia provided extra manpower during military emergencies, and every man between ages 16 and 60 was required to be a member of this district, no company, and do yearly drills. And the organized militia is no longer active. And yeah, this is the courthouse following its restoration in 1976 by the Etowah Historical Society. This is actually the interior of the militia courthouse, which included a potbelly stove, and desk for presiding justice of the peace. And they had what was called a calaboose. A calaboose is another word for a jail or prison. The word calaboose was first used in the western and southern United States in the early 1800s. It is from the Spanish word calabozo, which means dungeon. And the Euharlee calaboose was originally built to the right of the courthouse. As you can see right here, I believe that's it right there. It was used to house drunkards, thieves, and those disturbing the peace. And the iron bars are the original part of the cell. Once the calaboose was no longer used, it fell into disrepair and was rebuilt by the city of Euharlee in 1978. Wow, so I believe that's the calaboose right there. It has to be. And so yeah, they had a sawmill built near the creek, and the first justice of peace was actually Absalom Stevens, who served until 1839, and the existing courthouse was built between 1880 and 1890 on land owned by local farmer and grist mill owner Daniel Lowry. So after the district courthouses were no longer needed, the many fell into disrepair and were torn down. And this is one of the few remaining courthouses of this type remaining in Georgia. Let me get a closer look at this calaboose right here. Yep, you see the iron bars right there. So this park right over here looks relatively modern. This is called Osborne Park. They have a playground over there. You can see. Y'all bear with this sun. Bear with me with this sun. Yeah, this right here is like a little amphitheater sort of thing right here. And they have these little seating areas on artificial turf. So that's pretty cool. Really nice park. Right here in Euharlee. Again, this is called Osborne Park. Now this amphitheater was actually built in 2025. Mayor Craig Guyton and the architects were Bell and Associates, project architect Zachary Bell. Matter of fact, let me get up close to the marker. Maybe we could read it better. There we go. Mayor Craig Guyton, Bell and Associates or architects, project architect Zachary Bell, project manager John Winenberg, and the general contractors right here, SH Creel Contracting, and the council members, all part of this project to beautify the park of Osborne Park, to give this old classical city some more flair. And check out this sculpture, sculpted by artist Barry Henderson, September 2025. And and it's called She Laughs as She Runs. Honors the spirit of the Euharlee Creek, whose Cherokee name means exactly that. This sculpture reflects the water's laughter, resilience, and the heritage of those who lived along its banks, reminding us today of nature's joy, freedom, and the timeless flow of water through our community and history. So special thanks to the city of Euharlee and the Bartow County government. And again, this was a sculpture of a Cherokee woman. And again, it's called She Laughs as She Runs. And this sculpture depicts just that. So it's by Barry Henderson, 2025. You can see the frogs in the water. And this Cherokee woman just enjoying the nature, enjoying the land in peace and in laughter. Shout out to Barry Henderson for this really beautiful sculpture. And there goes the Euharlee Creek right there. Just listen to the peaceful ebbs and flows of the creek. It's really nice and peaceful, huh? There's nothing like being one with nature. It's nothing like being one with nature. Have to be in harmony with the universe. Either that, or what are you living for? Have to be in concordance with nature. Have to be in concordance with nature, and through tough times we have to maintain persistence. Otherwise, we're just in mere existence. But yeah, check out this right here. Now these are the ruins right here. These are the ruins that sit right next to the creek. Yo, that's dope, man. And again, no climbing. It says no climbing on ruins. That would be mightily stupid for anybody to do that, because you could easily get injured. And the city assumes no liability for that. Which brings us over here. It's a granary over here. We're gonna check that out. They also have the Traveler's Well. So the Traveler's Well right here. So definitely a good place to get your grain and water for the long, extensive travels. And here is the granary right here. So the granary and the commissary were very important in the rural agricultural areas. Farming tenants needed a place to purchase finance goods. Landowners generally provided this service via a commissary, where tenants could purchase needed items and not pay until after their sale of crops, generally once a year. In the 1860s, commissary had several interesting interior features, including iron strap hinges ending with tulip finals, diagonal shutter bars locked with slotted pins, and boards that run vertically on the sides and horizontally on the front and rear walls. And this building was restored in the 1980s. Now, the granary was originally an 1860s commissary, and the building was later used for grain storage and renamed the granary. The front building includes a 10x16 glass in the original window sash and steel butt hinges on the rear door. As you can see right there, there goes the windows. And the back section was a Lowry Farm buggy barn, which was moved and attached via an enclosed ramp in the 1970s. And located to the left of the Lowry Mill, where we just saw, was the Traveler's Well. This public well, hand dug by settlers, was used by generations of weary travelers crossing Euharlee Creek. The building encasing the well was constructed as part of the Euharlee Preservation Project in the 70s and 80s. So yeah, that was the commissary back in 1979 after it was restored. You can tell by the quality of the image that it was late 70s. And the Traveler's Well right there, and of course the granary in front of us. So yeah. And also right here, this building is the what is it, the Emmy Nelson Public Library, which is closed as of now. But yeah, that's the library, the local library for Euharlee. And further down this way is also Frankie Harris Park, and there's a campground called the Euharlee Creek Campground. But we're going to continue this way. As we close in pretty much to the main attraction, one of the biggest main attractions of Euharlee, if not the biggest. And you'll see what that is in just a few seconds. And right here, before we get to that main attraction, they have information about iron saltpeter kettle, which was used by the Confederate Neature and Mining Bureau in 1862 to 64. And it was part of a local war effort during the American Civil War. And it was one of 6 used during these 3 years. It was used in the mining of saltpeter, an essential ingredient in the manufacturing of gunpowder at that time. And it was 15% sulfur, or 10% sulfur, 15% charcoal, and 75% finely ground saltpeter. And this is the Kingston Saltpeter Cave back in the day. And this is located north of Euharlee around the Etowah River, or the Etowah River, I should say. This is the mining saltpeter process. Soil dug out and removed in heavy bags and placed in wheelbarrows to be processed throughout the cave. And this is an image of Bryant T. Leake and his granddaughter back in the day. They used the the kettle for many things, including cooking and laundry. So yeah, definitely kept that within the family. And right here is the little outpost right here. It's an outpost. So I guess that's a brewing company. So I guess it's a little brewery right here by the creek. And here we go, main attraction. This is the Euharlee Creek Covered Bridge. Love the sun, but it's really interfering with this shot. But yeah, this is the Euharlee Creek Covered Bridge. Military vet right here. And basically a picture of a bunch of locals, you know, local troops. Pledger Dudley, private in the U.S. Army, served during the during World War World War II. It's female. Looked like she served in the Air Force, if I'm not mistaken. Warren Fritz, Army Airborne Ranger, served from 53 to 74. So it's just a bunch of different military personnel, vets. You know, you have U.S. Navy Michael Steve Caracos, nuclear first class. Master Warrant Officer David Ford, there go a brother right there, 32 years in the service of the U.S. Army. Born in Cartersville, Georgia. Frank Jones Prescott. So basically, in a nutshell, you get this well-lit covered bridge with a list of different military personnel, different military vets. So, yeah. Wish I had a marker. I would put P9 was here. Put my channel name and all that good stuff. But yeah. This is the covered bridge right here. Walk right back across it. Get back to the other side. Look at this sister right here. Haley Allen, U.S. Air Force vet. All right now, salute to you. Yeah, this is really nice though, how they basically pay homage to military personnel past and present, old and young. James Martin, private of the U.S. Army, served during the World War II as well. And yep, here goes a good view of the creek right next to this outpost, which looks like it's a pretty good place, pretty cool place to come chill. You know, have you some brew right over here by the creek. And again, there goes the ruins. Get a good view of that right here. So just get some historical context of this bridge. It was built in 1886, and the county contracted with Washington W. King, son of freed slave and noted bridge builder Horace King, and Jonathan H. Burke for the construction of this 138-foot bridge. It was adjacent to a mill owned by Daniel Lowry, of which the foundation is still evident. This bridge replaced several previous structures, the last having been built 2 years prior. Constructed in the town lattice design, the bridge's web of planks crisscrossing at 45 to 60 degree angles are fastened with wooden pegs or trundles at each intersection. So shout out to the Kings and Jonathan Burke. So Horace King, a master bridge builder, his son, a slave, contributed to the bridge, the building of this bridge. And again, there goes a good view of it. Got to block out the sun. And this is some information about the grist mill. So those ruins, I guess, right there were the Lowry grist mill, and it was officially, before Euharlee was incorporated, it was known as Burgess Mill, Its namesake, Nathaniel Burge, moved from Gwinnett County in 1834 and bought 800 acres of land surrounding Euharlee Creek and built the grist mill along the bank, as you can see right there. These mills were used for grinding wheat, corn, and other grains. Mills work by depositing dried grains into the hopper, which leads to the grinding stone, and the stone would then be grind the grain into meal, which would be packaged and sold. So that's the corn mill right there. The bags used to hold the corn mill at the mill, or the corn mill ground at the mill. And this is a document about the burning of the Euharlee mills. So yeah, the mill and surrounding land were sold to several different operations or operators during the 1850s and 60s. And around this time, the mill was purchased by Daniel Lowry II. There was a devastating fire, and then it rebuilt and became a center of the community. And they also used the mill. The Lowry family also used the mill to produce electricity to their farm before power was available in Euharlee. So yes, they had to use the mill for the for the conduction of electricity. In 1886, as I mentioned before, is when this bridge was built, the Euharlee Covered Bridge. This is a most recognizable landmark here in Euharlee. And an earlier bridge collapsed in 1871 when Captain Elihu Nelson was crossing in a wagon. Him and another man were killed, and the accident brought attention to the need for a well-constructed bridge. And here goes Horace King right here, George King, John King, Marshall King, and Washington King. So these are all individuals who contributed to the construction of this bridge. And this is also a notice to the bridge builders. And there was a ad taken out by the Bartow County commissioners to where they advertised for bids to build the covered bridge. So yeah, very, very cool landmark right here in Euharlee. And also in the distance right there is there goes like a couple of general stores right here, right over here by the outpost. So this is Euharlee, old classical spot. And with that in mind, good people, this concludes this vlog. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you get notified each and every time I drop a new vlog. That in mind, good people, thanks for watching. Peace.